Welcome to Ctrl Alt Defeat.
Where not every game wants you to win.
I'm Stevie Blaze,
And I'm Argo.
and
And
today
today
we're
we're
stepping
stepping into
into
the
the dark.
dark. No tutorials, no dialogue.
Just shadows, traps, and whatever's waiting ahead.
You don't know what's coming.
You just know it's not good. So the question is,
Can you survive a game that gives you nothing?
accept consequences. Stay sharp.
Because this one doesn't forgive. Hi guys. Today on Control Alt Defeat, we're going back to 2010. We tried a game called Limbo. It was created by Playdead, featuring a minimalist and black and white art style. It's a 2D platformer horror game, and it was definitely not what I was expecting. What are your thoughts?
I kind of loved it, actually. It was a very
I did
interesting
love it.
game. Um, Very frustrating at times,
Yes, very. The
but
game doesn't give you a whole lot of explanation. You're like you start the game and that's it. It does there's no tutorial, no explanation. You just start.
yeah, and it's simple gameplay. You
It's
jump,
very intuitive.
you have a jump button and a grab button, and that's about it for the game. And you don't really know what's going on. You're just in this. I love the silhouette look to it. Um, Almost like everything you're doing is in shadows.
Well, it kind of is. So you start in a dark forest and everything, like you see a background behind you, but you're on a 2D plane, but there is a foreground, and sometimes your character's out of sight because you're passing between trees and stuff. But the art style works really well for a game that was made all the way back in 2010. That's which is crazy. That's 16 years ago.
Oh God, it is
Feeling old.
a little bit, a little bit.
Uh, that was more than half of my lifespan.
Oh neat. Oh dear Lord. Let's continue with the game.
Anyway, yes. So the game it follows the young boy traveling through this darkened atmosphere. You're traveling through. You're just trying to find your sister. You're trying to find your way home,
Well, you don't
and
know
that's
that
pretty much
though.
the premise of it. Yeah, it doesn't explain that. That's the crazy part. It doesn't explain this. There is a bit of a spoiler warning in this episode. We will get to that once we reach it. We will let you know.
Um, it is a lot of rinse and repeat because I think it's I have to believe it's impossible to go through this game without playing it or seeing it played and avoiding every death. Like this game is meant to be played where you
It is
play
all
until
about
you're
trial
done.
and error.
Yes. I mean,
Even, I'll be honest, there were a couple times where I did have to look up the solution to a couple of puzzles. There is a VOD up if you want to go watch it. It was like we clipped out the parts where I stopped to like look something up, but uh for the like it's a full playthrough of the game. I didn't comment on anything so that you guys can just sit and enjoy the game. But there were definitely some parts where I had to stop and like, okay, what am I supposed to do here? I can't figure this out for the life of me.
I understand. It's a crazy game. But I loved it. It's one that I feel like I always wanted to play, but I never brought myself to play it. And I'm very glad it's on Game Pass, and I played it for this podcast. Unlike Pigeon Simulator, I played this entire game. I played it all the way
Same
through and
here.
beat it Well, yes, the video you're watching right now in our background is
That's all me.
Argo's playthrough. I didn't record my entire playthrough because we decided, since he was going to just play the whole thing, we just decided we're going to use his playthrough. Um, I may do something different when we're playing a co-op game, and I want to get both of our playthroughs up there. But for this game, I just went with Argo's playthrough.
A good game for that could be something like Army of Two.
Oh,
Keep an eye out for that one, maybe.
I don't even know if that's on Game Pass though.
Oh, it is.
Oh, okay. All right.
Oh, it is. I may have played it a few times.
I've beat the whole game. I liked Army of Two, if I remember right. It's been a long time. I played it when it came out.
Yes, it is. I remember the first Army 2 game I had was the Cartel one. I forget what it was called, but it was so good. But we're talking about Limbo today. Limbo
Correct.
was fantastic. I loved every second of it except for when I couldn't figure out what to do. And even then, when I figured out what it was supposed to do by looking it up, I was like, okay, okay.
Then you hated yourself for realizing that, oh, that makes a lot of sense.
Yes, that is true. It made me feel like an idiot sometimes.
Absolutely. Um, did you have any favorite moments from this game? Because I know I did. I loved every
Oh,
moment with the
dude.
spider.
I loved the spider. My favorite part is when you're wrapped up in the spider webs, right? You get caught by the spider at one point, and he wraps you up in these webs, and you have to shake yourself out of his like actual web, but you're still wrapped up, and you have to hop your way around. And so there's this part where you hop onto a boulder, and you're trying to like make roll it over this chasm that's like full of spikes, so you have to be on top of the boulder. And halfway through this chasm, this spider starts crawling towards you out on the ceiling, and I'm just thinking to myself, "Oh God, oh God, oh God, I gotta move."
I understand. Yeah, the spider was just and honestly, what little bit I knew about this game and what little clips I've seen, I knew the spider seemed like it was a big deal. The spider's gone pretty quick into the game. That's like your
It's only
biggest,
like the first area.
yeah, that's like your biggest challenge from the beginning. And then there's other challenges. Most of the challenges are traps, but every once in a while you had like people
Traps,
trying to kill you.
pitfalls. There's a lot. It's a platformer, so you're gonna have a lot of pitfalls, a lot of traps, all kinds of stuff. And like we said, it is trial and error. So you are going to die a lot, brutally. It
And
is
this is a
not.
child, so
This is a child we're talking about, and he's getting stuck in bear traps, impaled by giant spiders, crushed by heavy machinery, all kinds of stuff. And it's brutal, and I love every second
I'm
of it.
pretty sure this kid's name is Kenny because only Kenny I have seen die so brutally so many times. And of course,
This
I'm talking
isn't
about,
South Park.
yeah, I'm talking about Kenny from South Park. Because, I mean, it was like, we just want to kill this child in the most brutal way possible. Now, it's all silhouetted, so it's not like actually
Like you're not seeing any
graphic.
actual gore or blood or anything, but you're definitely dead.
I mean,
Like
they
your head,
still
if you
show
get
the
caught in a bear
deaths,
trap, your head flies off.
but it's like seeing the shadow of someone die. You don't see, it's not gruesome or anything, but it's brutal if you realize what's going on. The kid's head gets chopped off a couple times, I believe. I've got him killed that way a couple times. I mean, stabbed,
Yes.
stabbed constantly. A lot of times by that
Poison
spider.
darts.
Poison darts,
Yep.
smashed, crushed. Uh, if there was a way to kill this kid, there was that they did it. They absolutely. Or you
Well,
did
they
it
did it.
because you're the kid. You're playing as this kid, and you just getting
Yeah, you
killed
did this. You
constantly.
did this to this poor child.
It is your fault.
He
And all this kid wants to do is, I guess,
just
escape
wants to
because
go home.
you play this entire game not knowing your goal. You do not know what you're doing. You're just trying to survive. That is
Well,
the
that's not
whole point
necessarily
of the
true. We
game.
do get a sneak peek towards the end as to what the goal is. You do come across a mirage of your sister. So the goal is you're trying to get home to your sister. That's where that's going.
I don't remember seeing a Mirage of the Sister until the what well, we won't talk about that much too, because that's the
Well,
ending. We're gonna put that in the
yeah,
spoilers, but I don't remember any hints of what you're trying to do this entire game.
I'll explain when we get to it. I'll explain when we get to that.
Okay.
Anyway, let's let's get back on track here. So let's talk a little bit about how we like what was our favorite part about the game. Personally, my favorite part about the game was literally the whole atmosphere of like all the areas were so beautifully designed. They were all designed to like be like this creepy atmosphere that you're just surrounded by and everything's out to get you. And I love that. It's you're a small child lost in a world where he has no place. And
Yeah,
I love that.
it's a very very interesting atmosphere. Uh,
What about you? What was your favorite part about it?
I told you the spider. I love the spider scene.
Fair, fair. The spider was great.
I almost felt
Unfortunately,
bad when I murdered the crap out of that spider.
yes, you do. By the way, you do kill the spider. You are the one that murders that spider.
Yeah, brutally too.
Yeah,
And
it gets crushed by a boulder.
then you rip its legs off.
It's yes, and then use it as a bridge.
Yes,
Utter disrespect.
yes.
All right, what did you not like about the game?
Unlike the last game we played, there wasn't a lot that I didn't like. I mean,
I have to agree.
even the fact that it's a bit frustrating, it was a good frustrating. It was frustrating in a way a game should be frustrating. Uh, I don't really have any bad notes for this game because I liked a lot about it. It's a good game. It's a great game. It's a game that I think I'm glad that I decided to play it for the first time for this podcast. Um, but there is a part of me that thinks, why did I not give this game a chance years before? Like, I should have played this game when it came out because it was that good, and I cannot believe I've ignored it for so long.
I'll have to agree there, though. I do have one complaint about the game.
Oh, go ahead and
Hear
give it
me
to me.
out. Hear me out. It's the controls. The controls weren't bad per se. The problem I had with it is sometimes, and if you watch the VOD playthrough, you'll notice this too, that I had this issue. Specifically on the part, this one particular part where I'm trying to climb this rope that has a bear trap hanging over it. I keep trying to grab onto the rope and then swing on it, but because the way that the controls work, if you're holding the grab button when you grab the rope, you will also then jump off of it, which
Never had that issue, I don't think. I will say there was one
maybe
part that
that's a
was
skill issue on my part. It could just be a Mia thing, but I dealt with that quite a bit where I'd be trying to grab onto something and hold onto it and would end up immediately letting go afterward,
I was
and that
pretty sure when
was
you
a little
grabbed
annoying.
I was pretty sure when you grabbed on a rope, you did not have to press the button to grab it. I think it automatically grabs it, which I think where your issue is that you were trying to press a button to grab when it automatically grabs. And instead of grabbing it, you were letting go because you didn't need to push a button to grab.
Again, like I said, this could just very well be a skill issue on my part.
This
Um,
this does remind me that there is a part that I was not a big fan of, and it was more that
uh,
out of all the frustrating that I normally thought was good, there was one that was just really annoying, and that was there is like a pipe, and you have to constantly go back and forth and get the pipe to go up, down, up, down, up, down. And then you have to get it
Oh,
up
dude.
high enough to jump on another pipe. And I struggled for way too long to get the pipe to go the right amount. And then I had to look it online and see somebody else do it. And this was one that I wasn't able to read instructions to figure out how to do a lot of things. I had to watch somebody else play. And I realized essentially I was jumping too late. I was trying to jump right at the peak of the height, and you have to jump a little earlier, and that's why I kept failing. But that part really, it was less fun and more annoying, frustrating.
It was very tedious. I will agree with you there. I completely forgot about that part. That has to be my least favorite part of the whole game is that jump right there. I spent like 10 solid minutes
I
trying to
know
make
I
that
watched.
jump. I know you watched.
I was like, yep, he had just as much of an issue as I did on that part. And the sad
I
part,
did not look it up.
it's such a simple situation that
You're
even
like, oh,
though,
this should be easy.
well, not only that, but you were able to easily remember and know exactly what part I'm talking about because it was that frustrating.
Yes. It was so monotonous. I'm like, oh my god, I missed the jump again.
Oh yeah, I died a lot during that scene, that part.
All right. So we've talked about what we liked about the game. We talked about what we didn't like. We should probably get into the scoring part of this.
Okay.
So we're going to talk about. Now, last episode we talked about replay value. This time we're going to actually replace that with a new topic, and we're actually going to start with that. We're going to talk about the soundtrack.
We're gonna start with the soundtrack.
Yeah, why not?
Well, okay. Do you want me to start or do you want to start?
I can start. So, honestly, the soundtrack isn't very noticeable unless you're paying attention, right? But when you actually pay attention to it, a lot of it's like at the beginning, it's utter silence. Like you're just hearing background noise. But as you go through the game, like you hear all these surrounding noises and you feel like you're in that environment. You feel you're actually there. And it's really well done, personally, in my opinion. And I think that if I were to give them a score out of 10, I would have to give them a solid 8. Not a 10 because there wasn't any actual music, sure, but I do love the ambiance that they created using the sound. And it was very immersive and I loved it. I'll give it a good 8.
I kind of agree everything you just said. The sound, there wasn't really a soundtrack. There was no soundtrack because the entire game is it's ambiance.
Ambient noise.
But that was perfect for this game. I didn't need that.
Exactly.
It worked perfectly for this game. I'm giving the soundtrack a 9 because it doesn't need a soundtrack because this is the perfect way to do this game. It's about the atmosphere and the sound gave it the perfect atmosphere.
Absolutely.
So I'm going with a 9.
Now, okay, so you're giving that a 9. I got that an 8. Now we're going to move on to what? World?
Yes.
We're going to move on to the world itself. What kind of environment we were put in? How well was it put together? How did it look? I'm going to say they did really well with that too. Despite being on a 2D plane, you felt like you were in a three-dimensional world. There was trees in the background, there was stuff in the foreground. You'd see stuff moving behind. Like, there's an area at some point in the game where you're in this factory, and everything's moving around you constantly, and you can see stuff in the background, and it's... chef's kiss. I'm going to give that a 10. That's a 10.
I'm pretty much... I felt like this game just had a beautiful look to it. It It was amazing. I liked the art style. Um, Everything felt, I don't want to say real because it didn't feel real. I don't think it's meant to feel real, but I'd say 9. I also thought the world building was really good. So yeah,
Yes,
a
the
9 for me.
environment was super immersive, but it wasn't like real to you, basically.
Hmm.
Okay, that's solid. That's a fair answer. I can get behind that. Now, what about combat, if any?
Combat. The simple controls works for this game. I will give it a little lower of a score because there really isn't much to the combat. I'm gonna go with
There
the
wasn't.
7. Um, Not that it's bad because the combat worked the way it's supposed to. There was a couple frustrating parts, like the one thing, which is kind of why I'm keeping it somewhat low.
I guess combat
But I
wouldn't
did
really
love
work
this game.
for this sort of situation. More like control scheme.
Yeah,
Control scheme might be more accurate.
yeah. But yeah, I'm gonna go with the 7.
Okay, that's fair. For me, like 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 Stevie Blaze said, there really isn't any combat to the game. You're not fighting back and everything. You're a kid again in a world of giant monsters and traps that you can't really fight against. You're just trying to avoid them. So, like I said, it's more of just trying to avoid stuff as opposed to fighting back. So there's not really any combat to speak of. I'm gonna give it a 4 for combat, but control scheme overall, I'd say a 6. So we'll average that out to a 5. Like I said, I had some issues with the whole rope climbing aspect of it. Again, that could be a skill issue on my part, but personally, I'm gonna say overall it's a 5.
Now, the next thing we got is gameplay, and I don't know if that really works for this because there is no real no real combat. Um, the gameplay is essentially the same as the combat in this game. Didn't
Well,
really think about that before we
no,
started this.
I would say gameplay would be more akin to like the mechanics of the game, like different puzzle solving aspects, like
Well,
with the whole anti-gravity or with the bugs.
the anti-gravity parts were weird, as I mean, the game kind of kept a, I don't want to say a realism's aspect to it, but it didn't get super fantastical other than like the giant spider. But honestly, there are giant spiders in the world. I don't know if they're that big. They're not that
No,
huge, but there are some really big spiders. And this is like a little kid, and it's clear he's not in a real world. But the anti-gravity stuff is like, now we're getting futuristic, and it's kind of weird.
yeah, I didn't see the play. I didn't really see the point of having that in there, aside from the puzzle solving aspect. Like, it didn't really make sense in that sort of world.
No, it didn't.
It felt definitely a little bit out of place. So, if you were to give it a score, what would you give it?
Well, I do like a lot of the gameplay in this game, so we're gonna go with 8.
8. Okay. Like I said, for me, the anti-gravity felt out of place. The bugs were really interesting and they fit so well, though. So there's these bugs that can that are hanging from like the ceiling, and when you get close to them, they latch onto you, and then they force you to go into a single direction until you come into a beam of light. Once you do that, it forces you to turn around. And then you keep doing that until either A, you die, or B, you feed it to these other little creatures that also hang from the ceiling.
Well, it doesn't force you to turn around. The light takes away the control of the bug. You can move anywhere you want once you go into the light. Um, that was a interesting mechanic that I didn't quite get at first. that the light is what was allowing me to take control. Because until you go into the light, that thing forces you to keep going until you die. One way. You can't turn.
Which, honestly, I didn't hate. Sure, it was a little frustrating to not be able to control which direction you were going in, but it was a neat mechanic that worked really well, and it fit well into the environment, in my opinion. Because having a giant spider, mind controlling bugs aren't that far off.
Fair enough.
So personally, I really liked a lot of the mechanics that they had for the puzzle solving and stuff. And like you using the environment to your advantage to try and traverse this strange world was incredible. And like I said, the anti-gravity was out of place, but it did work well with that sort of vibe. So I'll give it a solid 8 as well.
Fair enough. So the last thing would be story.
Yeah, that's pretty much all that's left.
Honestly, there isn't a lot to the story.
I'm going to interrupt you here. This is where there is going to be a bit of a spoiler warning.
How about
if you don't want
give us our rating, and then we will explain more at the end when we get to the spoiler. Alright, so the last thing we have is story, and we're not going to go into full detail on how we felt about the story, because it's kind of the only really part about the story is the ending, and we don't want to put spoilers in the rating aspect, so we will talk about the ending when we get to the spoiler section.
Indeed.
However, I do like what we got, even though there isn't a lot of story. I'm going to go with 7.
That's fair.
I will explain my feelings about the ending when we get to the spoiler section.
Personally, I'll give it a 6 because, like we said, there isn't a whole lot of story, but what there was good, and it did make sense, and it explains a lot.
I disagree with that. It doesn't really explain a lot either, and we'll talk about that when we get to it.
Fair enough. But I'll give it a 6.
Alright, well, let's add this up. Alright, so our scores are in, and I gave it a 40, which puts it in our legendary status.
And I gave it a 36, which gives it elite for me. But it's on the cusp of being in legendary.
And together it's a 76, which gives it about a CC+.
So way better than what happened with Pigeon Simulator.
Way better.
That was a bit of a rocky start.
Yeah, it was. I just wasn't a fan of that game.
If you wanna see that, that's the previous episode. It'll be our first episode.
Indeed. Alright, so are we ready to go into spoiler territory?
I think we are. So I'm gonna go ahead and tell you guys right now what we're about to talk about is going to spoil the end of the game and pretty much the whole plot of the story, which is literally just the ending. But point is, if you don't want to hear this, understandable. It'll only be a couple of minutes of us talking about this. What's a good cue? What's a good cue for them to be able to know when we're done talking about the spoilers? Probably.
Well, I won't know.
Tell you what, we'll have in big letters on the screen say "spoiler over."
Yeah, we'll get it figured out.
Like if you don't want to hear, yeah, if you don't want a spoiler, pretty much just silence the video or pause it and go to the game and try it out for yourself and check out the story for yourself before you come and see this part.
Yeah, it's only about a 3-hour game if you play it straight through. It's not a very long game, but it's a great game.
Yeah, it's a game you can play in one day. If you got nothing better to do, don't really feel like playing your usual stuff, and you want something simple and fun. This is a great game to sit down and play. 3.5 hours. You'll be through it in no time.
Agreed. All right, so spoilers.
The ending.
So the ending ends with you going and walking up to what looks like the silhouette of a little girl, and she is like either burying or just lying there in front of, or sitting there in front of something. Here's the thing. When you finished it, you told me you didn't fully understand what was going on. What was
No, I did not.
What was your reaction? What did you think was going on?
I thought I had just come home, finally. Or at least had found a way to see my sister one last time. Because I assumed it was my sister, or at least a dear female friend that the character played with. Because when you come up to like you said, when you come to the ending, you smash through this barrier, you land on the ground, wake up again, and then you walk to the right. Now, at first, I thought it was a gameplay. I thought that the reason why the game was called Limbo is because it starts the game from the beginning. Because when you start the game, it's a very similar sequence of events. You wake up in a grassy, woodsy area and start your playthrough. No explanation. But then as I was walking, I come across the girl. I'm like, oh, okay, so this is the end. Like, it's an actual ending. And I see the girl sitting there, and I was like, oh, I'm home. Cool. That's great. I love that. But then Stevie Blaze went and played it, and then he looked into it some more, and he explained to me that's actually your sister, and you've been dead this whole time.
So I looked it up, and there's actual multiple theories, because they never really explain it. I don't even think the game developers give you an explanation. They keep it ambiguous. There is some people that say it's your sister. People say it's someone you love. Could be your mother. But essentially,
the consensus is that's your sister.
And also the consensus is that she's burying your body, and you're seeing her for the last time, and you've been in like a purgatory or a limbo of death. And so...
And it explains, honestly, a fair bit of things if you think about it.
Well,
I'll get to that here in a minute.
Well, essentially, there's also people that say that your sister died as well. There is also the theory is, some people said a car crash, but I don't see anything that suggests that. There's also what looks like a broken ladder by your sister or the girl that's in the scene, so that it's also believed that you might have fell off that ladder
and broke your neck.
Broke your neck and died. But there's also theories that she's dead too, and you're just kind of trying to find her in limbo. But you're both dead. But
I think that the theory that she's burying her body makes the most sense.
Yeah. So there's a lot of different interpretations of what the ending of the game is.
But the general consensus is that this whole time you're dead, right? And you've been trying to find your way back to your sister, not realizing you're dead. That's the major consensus there. And personally, it makes a lot more sense for her to still be alive, in my opinion, and that she's burying your body. The reason for that is when you first wake up, she's nowhere to be seen, right? And yes, this could be explained by the idea that maybe she's also dead and was maybe in a different part of Limbo, sure. But at the same time, the area where you find her is brightly lit. It's it's preserved. It's not this dark environment, and she's light. Like her silhouette is white, as opposed to your silhouette, which is black with white eyeballs. And I feel like that represents the idea that she's still alive.
I'm not sure.
On top of that, I feel like when you're going through all these areas, you're like, man, what kind of weird world is this? You're in a machine that has these anti-gravity puzzles and all these things that are moving parts all around you, a city that's collapsing with the hotel sign that you jump on that falls down. All this stuff makes way more sense to me,
If these are like
considering the
things that
fact,
you experienced in your life, not the actual things, but I look at it more like he went to a hotel once and and he made this ridiculously large hotel sign because that's a memory from his from something he experienced in life, and the giant spider is his fear of spiders. So
yes,
the spiders
they're
get
all like things that happen that are going through his head.
amplified because he's a child who's dead.
Yes. This is why this makes a lot more sense to me personally.
Yeah. It's a very interesting ending, and really the only story in the game, and they don't even explain what the hell it is.
They really don't. That's part of why I had to give the story such a pretty low score, was because they don't really explain anything. They leave things open to interpretation, which isn't a bad thing.
Which I liked
It's
that.
just, like I said, it's not a bad thing. It's just you got to give us a little something more than that for us to be able to get like a better idea of what kind of story you're trying to tell. And just giving us a vague ending with no story explanation beforehand doesn't really do it for me personally. And like I said, that's why I gave it such a low score.
I think it's the thing that made the game even more interesting. Honestly, I liked it. Um, I liked the ambiguous ending. I liked.
It just
I just
I
would
just
like
wish
to
I
see.
knew more. It's like it's I didn't give it a low score because I hate it. I just wish that I had been given more information because I am a big dude on stories. And I love lore and I love all these like neat little details that game devs put into their story. And the fact that I didn't get a whole lot of that kind of disappointed me.
I get it. That makes sense. All right. Is there anything
But
else we need to talk about with Limbo?
um not that I can think of off the top of my head. I think that pretty much covers everything, doesn't it?
I think it does.
That game doesn't mess around.
No warnings, no second chances,
Just trial and error.
and a lot of consequences.
Yeah, we definitely felt that.
So the real question is,
Was it worth it?
but next time,
We're leaving the shadows behind.
and stepping into something a little more
Chaotic.
Blaze
Blaze Blue
Blue
Entropy
Entropy
Effect
Effect X.
X.
Different game,
Same risk. Control
Control
Alt
Alt
Defeat.
Defeat. We survived.
Barely.